The ginger cat chose the moment the kettle started whistling to leap onto the counter. "Down, Mikan," Aiko Mori chided, nudging him gently with her elbow while she poured hot water over the hojicha leaves. The late afternoon lull at Neko Nirvana usually meant time to prep the evening pastries, but the cats sensed a human distraction and staged tiny rebellions. 3 others, Sora the mist-grey longhair, Kuro the silky black, and Yuzu, a calico diva, lounged on knitted poofs near the window, forming an audience for Mikan's acrobatics. A jingle snapped Aiko's attention from the kettle. A 5th cat, new to the cafe, trotted in from the staff corridor. Snowy white and dainty, she wore a deep blue collar with an attached charm shaped like a plum blossom. The metal petals shimmered coppery pink under the lights. "You again," Aiko murmured. Yesterday had been Plum's first day. The shelter had listed her simply as Cat, 327, but staff consensus promoted her to Uma Plum for her collar. "You're not allowed in the prep area, remember?" Ume mewed, stepping deftly around, measuring spoons to bat the dangling teabag string. Aiko's chiding melted into a laugh, yet the charm drew her gaze. Cat collars at Neko Nirvana were strictly nylon straps with the cafe's logo. Adoption cats, however, sometimes arrived wearing their own accessories. Most were bland plastic name tags, never rose gold blossoms etched with an almost calligraphic pattern. When Ume leapt down, the blossom spun, and light caught engraved lines across each petal, neat crosshatch marks intersecting in deliberate angles. It reminded Aiko of subway lines. She had majored in linguistics before dropping out to help her aunt run a bakery. Her brain catalogued patterns the way others stored phone numbers. She noted the charm, filed the thought away, and ushered the cat back into the lounge before customers returned from sightseeing. By 6 o'clock, the cafe filled with chatter. Teenagers ordering iced matcha lattes, tourists whisper-squealing at lap-settled cats, and regulars nursing espresso while scrolling tablets. Aiko moved seamlessly among them, steaming milk and replenishing cat treats. Umi proved a star attraction, curling on tourists' thighs like an angel. When closing time approached, Aiko disinfected tables while her co-worker Emi Yokoi swept crumbs into her palm. Emi nattered about her new ceramic class until her broom froze mid-air. "Hey, did you see this?" She held up Sora, who blinked regally. Around his neck hung a charm identical in shape to Oom's, but golden, the etching different. Sora never wore jewelry before. Aiko frowned. "He didn't. Where did that come from?" Emi turned the cat sideways. The clasp looked fresh, the metal unscratched. "Maybe a customer slipped it on? We're supposed to stop them from accessorizing cats." Aiko tested the clasp, a tiny spring ring almost too delicate for human fingers. Weird. She fetched Uma and compared the 2 charms. Both were plum blossoms, but Sora's design etched thicker, the lines intersecting in alternate petals. They reminded her of overlapping diamonds. When the last customer left and the cats retreated to their bunk room, Aiko placed both charms on the counter under the task lamp. She sketched them in her notebook, tracing the lines. Each petal contained 4 quadrants, some filled with cross-hatching, others blank, forming asymmetrical patterns. "Looks like code," Emi said, faux ominous. "Could be, or decorative." Yet Aiko's imagination whirred. Tokyo's transit grid crisscrossed in similar angles. She quickly overlaid tracing paper atop a metro map, pinned on the bulletin board for tourists. She rotated the sketch. 2 of the bold lines matched portions of the Ginza and Uedo lines when offset about 20 degrees. Coincidence, she told herself. until memory pricked. Last month, a tortoiseshell named Azuki had arrived wearing a sakura-shaped charm. The shelter removed it during her vet check, so Aiko had seen it only once, but she remembered thinking the etching looked like tessellated arrows. A pattern again. She tucked the 2 charms in an envelope for safekeeping. Better to tell Ms. Tanaka, the cafe's owner, in the morning. Yet that night, back in her tiny apartment above a ramen shop, curiosity overrode sleep. She spread the transit map on her kotatsu and aligned both blossom sketches. If each filled quadrant represented a transfer station, then Sora's charm pointed from Shirokane Takanawa through Roppongi to Tochomai. Ume's ran Matsudo to Ueno to Asakusa, Neko Nirvana's neighborhood. Something, not fear exactly, but electric intrigue, rippled through her. She opened her laptop and searched for news involving those stations. A headline surfaced, "Jewels worth 100 million stolen from Roppongi Galleria, suspects still at large." Another article reported customs officers intercepting uncut emeralds at Matsudo Freight Yard. Dates, 3 weeks apart, but both recent. The coffee in her veins turned cold. Was it possible someone used cats to mark smuggling routes? She pictured criminals lounging inside the cafe, observing which cat carried the blossom of the day, memorizing etched instructions before the innocent feline wandered off. A silly theory, yet the charms had appeared unannounced on cafe cats. At 9 the next morning, Ms. Tanaka unlocked the door. The retired elementary teacher had founded Neko Nirvana 5 years ago, coupling her love of cats with philanthropic adoption drives. She greeted Aiko with her customary bow and a bag of persimmon scones. "I must show you something," Aiko said, leading her to the office. She laid out the charms and her map notes. Miss Tanaka adjusted bifocals, her brow puckered. "Curious indeed," she murmured. "Where did these come from?" One was on the new shelter cat, another on Sora, sometime during business hours. Customers may leave little gifts, thinking it cute. Maybe, but I compared the etching to transit lines. Look. Aiko traced again. They align with sectors tied to recent jewel thefts. Ms. Tanaka exhaled softly. "If you suspect criminal activity, we should contact the police." The word police conjured stern officers prowling the peaceful cafe, frightening the cats and customers. Yet ignoring potential crime felt reckless. "Perhaps I should gather more facts first," Aiko said, "to avoid drama." The older woman studied her. "You were my top puzzle whiz during the charity escape room event," she said, smiling. "But promise me caution, and keep a log of anyone who touches the cats." Aiko nodded. The day's bookings included a group of French tourists and, Aiko noted, Takumi Sato, a suave businessman whose tailored suits contrasted with the cafe's cozy whimsy. He came fortnightly, ordering single origin drip, and sitting near the corner bookshelf, stroking whatever cat settled on him. Many staff swooned. Aiko kept polite distance. She'd noticed Takumi liked foreign coin keychains and expensive fountain pens, small, shiny objects. At 11, he arrived. Uma sashayed straight onto his lap. Perfect opportunity, Aiko thought. She delivered his coffee, eyes on his hands. He absently fingered Um's collar, rotating the charm, then returned to scrolling his phone. Not suspicious per se, but noteworthy. She scanned other customers. A pair of university students entranced by yuzu, a stocky man in a denim jacket photographing every cat, and a grandmother knitting by the window. Around 1, the denim man approached the counter. "Excuse me, could I have another hour extension?" "Certainly," Aiko said, swiping his card. Name, Kenji Takahashi. As he fiddled with his wallet, She glimpsed a tiny screwdriver on his keyring, handy for electronics or jewelry clasps. She jotted notes in her log. During litterbox duty in the back room, she discovered McCann now sported a third plum blossom. Her pulse spiked. She hadn't seen anyone near McCann except Takahashi, who'd chased the ginger cat with his camera. She removed the charm, pocketed it, and returned the cat to the lounge. Piecing clues while frothing milk proved difficult, but by closing time she had 3 charms, each petal pattern unique. Emmy joined her at the counter, and they laid them in sequence. "If these are maps," Emmy said, "maybe put them together, like a puzzle?" They overlapped charms on tracing paper, orienting by petal tip. Suddenly, the filled quadrants formed a continuous jagged ribbon, like a river snaking across petals. Matsudo, Ueno, Asakusa, Roppongi, Shinagawa, then out toward Haneda Cargo Pier. A shipping route. Smugglers move stolen jewels from inland thefts to the port, then overseas, Aiko whispered. Emmy gulped. Should we hide in a supply closet and pretend we never saw? We need proof first. Aiko photographed the overlay and emailed it to herself. The next challenge: how were charms attached invisibly? She examined McCann's with a magnifying loupe kept for latte art contests. The clasp's hinge bore no logo but an indentation, a microscopic cat paw, a custom maker. Google led her to Pawfect Trinkets, a boutique across Kanda River that crafted discreet, luxurious pet jewelry for the discerning owner. She resolved to visit. Saturday morning, she swapped her apron for jeans and hoodie and biked to Kanda. The shop, tucked between a bonsai nursery and a record store, smelled of cedar and catnip. Glass cases displayed enamelled bells, collars studded with cubic zirconia, and plum blossoms identical to hers. A clerk, petite with pixie haircut, greeted her. "Looking for something special?" Aiko feigned casual interest. "Actually, my sister's cat has a charm like that blossom, but lost the clasp. I'd like to replace it." The clerk brightened. "Those are our Elegance series, limited edition for a corporate client." "Which client?" "I'm afraid that's confidential." Aiko adopted a worried expression. "If I could at least buy a spare charm." "Sold out. Only the client may reorder." She handed Aiko a business card. Komainu Imports Littered. Address in Shinagawa. Imports. Cargo Pier Territory. Aiko thanked the clerk and left, heart jackhammering against her ribs. Back at the cafe, Ms. Tanaka awaited her with news. The shelter's coordinator had called to ask whether Cat 0327's blossom had been returned. Apparently a man had phoned claiming it was a family heirloom. "What man?" Aiko asked. They wouldn't divulge personal data, only that he had a refined voice. Ms. Tanaka lowered her voice. "Like our Mr. Sato?" "Possibly." "Takumi Sato, Komainu Imports, Shinagawa." It fit too neatly. Aiko typed Komainu Imports into her laptop. Among bland trade announcements, an older article popped up. Police seize antiquities at Narita, suspected links to black market. Company rep denies allegations. One more piece. She called Detective Riku Honda, her childhood friend now with the Tokyo Metropolitan Police. They hadn't spoken in months, life had drifted them apart, but he answered second ring. "Mori-chan, long time." "Riku, I might have stumbled onto something illegal at the cafe." He listened while she condensed the tale. Blossom charms, coded maps, Komainu Imports. Silence stretched. "That's unusual," he said finally. "But the jewel heists unit is already eyeing Komainu. We just lack hard evidence. Your charms may help." "Can you come discreetly? I don't want to scare patrons." "Tomorrow morning before opening." Relief flooded her. That evening, Takumi Sato arrived near closing, later than usual. The cafe nearly empty, only the knitting grandmother remained, dozing next to a purring Kuro. Takumi ordered his usual, but his eyes roved the room as if searching for something. Aiko prepared the pour-over, palms sweaty. Ume had been kept in the back to prevent further meddling, but somehow the cat pushed through the door and trotted toward Takumi. Aiko's stomach dropped. She'd forgotten to remove Ume's collar after morning check. The blossom still dangled. Takumi bent, whispering to the cat. His fingers traced the charm, then stilled when he caught Aiko's gaze. A polite smile surfaced. "She's become my favorite," he said. "She's popular," Aiko replied evenly. He paid and settled by the bookshelves. Minutes later, while Aiko sanitized the espresso wand, she noticed Takumi no longer stroked Ume. His hand was under the table, fiddling with something. A click, a metallic tinkle. Ume hopped off and sauntered away, without her collar. A surge of adrenaline propelled Aiko across the floor. "Forgot your receipt," she lied, approaching. She handed him a slip of blank paper. Under the table, his fist clenched the blossom. He thanked her, calm. She returned to the counter, breathing shallow. If he left with the charm, evidence vanished. She signaled Emmy to block the door at closing. Emmy, eyes widening, nodded. 10 minutes later, Aiko announced, "We're about to shut for the night." The grandmother collected her knitting. Takumi polished off his coffee. At the doorway, Emmy fumbled with the lock, pretending it jammed. "So sorry, just a second," she said. Takumi waited, irritation flickering. Aiko stepped forward. "Mr. Sato, could you help? You seem handy." She hoped to stall until Ms. Tanaka's arrival. The owner, having attended a charity meeting, was due any minute. Takumi approached Emmy. While his attention fixed on the lock, Aiko crouched beside his briefcase on the floor, unzipped the side pocket, and slipped a hand in. The blossom lay atop a leather planner. She seized it, pocketed it, zipped the bag. Takumi turned. She straightened as if examining hinges. The door unstuck, Emmy's trick, and he exited with a courteous bow. Once he disappeared down the lantern-lit street, Aiko's knees buckled. Emmy hugged her. They locked properly and dashed to the office. The reclaimed charm, on inspection, showed yet another map segment, Shinagawa to Haneda Pier. The sequence now complete. Riku Honda arrived at dawn with a partner and little fanfare. They photographed charms, took Aiko's statements, and placed micro-transmitters inside 2 blossoms before returning them to Sora and Mikan. The plan: open the cafe, wait for the thief to collect. Follow the charm to the smuggling hub. Aiko's stomach twirled all morning. She served cappuccinos with forced smile. At 11:45, Takumi Sato walked in. Showtime. He selected a seat near the cat tree. Predictably, Sora ambled over. Takumi stroked him, fingers deftly unclasping the blossom. He tucked it into his coat. Minutes later, he rose, paid, and departed. Aiko tapped her earpiece, supplied by Riku, and whispered, "Package is on the move." Outside, plainclothes officers tailed him. The cafe staff pretended nothing unusual. Hours crept by. At 4, Riku returned, grin wide. We followed him to a Shinagawa warehouse leased by Komainu Imports. They were packaging tiny packets, uncut diamonds, into stuffed toys for export. Your charm was their map legend. We raided, arrests made. Relief crashed over Aiko. Emmy burst into tears. Ms. Tanaka offered everyone celebratory dorayaki. A week later, news coverage hailed Tokyo police for dismantling a jewel smuggling ring. Reporters interviewed Ms. Tanaka about her heroic cats. Clips of Sora and Ume licking tuna pate flooded social media. The cafe became pilgrimage ground for mystery lovers. Yet life soon returned to its cozy rhythm: steamed milk, soft paws, and the comforting scent of roasted beans. One rainy evening, after the last customer left, Aiko sat on a cushion, Uma curled beside her. She scratched the cat's chin, and Uma purred like a tiny engine. Ms. Tanaka entered, carrying a small velvet pouch. "For you," she said. Inside lay a silver collar charm, plain, no etchings. "A souvenir," Ms. Tanaka explained, "to remind us that cleverness and kindness make a powerful brew." Aiko smiled. "We should probably ban ornate cat jewelry from now on." "Perhaps," Ms. Tanaka chuckled. "But I rather like the idea that our cafe caught criminals. Who knows what adventure the cats will lead us into next?" Outside, neon reflections shimmered in puddles, and Tokyo hummed with endless stories. Within the warm glow of Neko Nirvana, Aiko felt ready. Should another mystery pad in on silent paws, she had coffee, comrades, and a pride of purring detectives at her side.